Hey guys, Palsteron here, and this will be part 3 of my Path of Building Beginner's Guide. In this one, we already talked about the basics. We talked about how to avoid the most common mistakes, but here I want to do something a little bit different. Is we're gonna take a build and we're gonna make it from scratch. And I'll say anything that comes to mind for me. I've made hundreds, probably even thousands of builds at this point, and I'll just get you through my thought process, and yeah, maybe we can make something out of it. So I thought about, let's say this is like day 4 in the new league, and we have a budget of around 10 to 20x at that point. And I have a really cool build idea that I think has never been done before, but don't tell anybody. Cyclone with 2-handers. I know it's crazy, but let's just jump into the build here. I also thought of Slayer, which I don't think has ever been done. So let's go Duelist Slayer. All right, so the points I want to take is Overleach. I want to take Impact because of the AoE. And obviously the call. So I don't want to make this about the build, so I'm not going to explain what these nodes do. It's more about my thought process going into this. You can replicate this with a spell build, whatever you want. Just about tiny things that I think about. Okay, so we're starting from here. Now, do we path through here or here? Most likely, since we're going to be in the left side of the tree, we're going to be missing attack speed more than increased damage. So I'm going to path through here. So we're going to go this, and we go life. Master of the Arena is important. Now, first let's think about where we want to go on the tree. And since we will be non-crit, we will be a budget version, we definitely want to get to Resolute Technique, which means hits can't be evaded, but we can't deal critical strikes, which is going to be very, very nice. We will also probably want to path to Unwavering Stance. And the reason for that is stun immunity is going to be harsh without having Cluster Jewels. And Cluster Jewels are probably going to be kind of hard to get at this point, and we're going to leave them out of the equation. So number 1, Unwavering Stance, Resolute Technique. So already know we want to get here. Next up, we're going to go 2-hander because we want to use a budget weapon, and that is Etziria's Disfavor. Can't believe that this is a budget option nowadays, but it actually is, just because how crazy rare weapons are. I didn't put a perfect roll, obviously, but let's say like here, and we put it here. So let's just put it into the build guide, and let's see. So now we know we are 2-hander and we're Axis. So let's first look for 2-handed nodes. Well, these are probably what we're going to path through. These are crit nodes, so we don't need them. These might be fine. We'll see. These ones we might take, maybe. These are pretty whatever. Yeah, so 2-hander, not too much interesting stuff. Maybe this. But yeah, let's look for Axis, right? So we see this here. We're probably going to take these because we're going to path to Ball Pact, which is also something we want to get because we are Overleach. That's the 3rd node. So you kind of can already see kind of a roster here. These nodes are good. These nodes are good. These nodes are good. We need to get to Ball Pact. We need to get to here. These are good. So we're kind of going to path like this down here and up here. And also we're going to go here to Ball Pact. So now that we have kind of a little bit of a picture here, we don't take the accuracy node because we're gonna have 100% accuracy either way. So let's path through here, go here. Since we're already here and we want to get to Valpact anyways, we might as well path through here and grab Golem's Blood and the Jewel. Now we can grab the X nodes. I don't know if I want to go this side or this side yet, but probably this side. If we need Mana Leech, we have it here. So let's leave that for now, but let's think about it later. Since we are non-crit, we definitely want to scale Impale. So these are really, really nice. As well as this, we can also search for Impale real quick to get kind of a mind map of where Impale nodes are. We might get up here, but we're probably going to path through here. These are whatever. Maybe we take it. I don't know, but we definitely take these 2 here, also because they're kind of on our way. Now, Area of Effect is also something that's very important. We're probably not going to get to these because it's a little awkward to path through here. If we path through here, the life region is going to be basically useless since we're Wall Pact. And we can't really path from this side because these are all elemental damage nodes. So probably not going to go Templar region. So we might want to go with Brinkmanship, which is a lot of AoE for Cyclone, even though the damage isn't that great. But we go down here. As we said, Cluster Jewels are probably going to be harsh in terms of availability. I probably want to put my money somewhere else right now. And I don't know how crafting is affected next patch, so let's just say we don't know. So we go here. Now, maybe one call to arms, we're probably going to use Enduring Cry. We can just put that on left click, and whenever it's up, it's up. So maybe just take that. For now, we don't have to. We take these for sure. Now, all the sick life nodes, like these two nodes here, 10 and 5, always take them. The 5% that are left, we might take in the end, but for now, we're going to leave them on hold. We're only going to take the most necessary ones and kind of make a mental mark of everything that we might take. So Juggernaut is whatever, but we're going to take it for now. Barbarism. So here were the X nodes that we were talking about. Now this node is usually a no-brainer. It's pretty good. About this one, I don't know yet. We're not a bleed build, so we might just not take them. Let's just leave them out for now. And now we go up there, Resolute Technique. So we have that keystone. Now we kind of have to think about how do we get to unwavering stance in the best possible way. Well, probably we want to path through here, because then we can also go up here, and we can go through here to Constitution up there. So we go down here, and this also makes it possible for us to go here. Although we probably want the int actually and go through here. It might just be better. It's just 10 int versus 10 strength, but it's probably better this way. We'll see. We can do this for optical polish, but yeah, do this. We're only going to take the 2-point jewels for now, since it's early in the league and we probably can't afford good jewels. So for us to take 3-point jewels would be, we would have to invest a lot for that to be worth it. Now we can get Born to Fight. If we went through this side, we would have to pass through Warrior's Blood, which is useless since all our life region is gone because of Valpact. So we go through here. We take these life nodes because they're really, really good, but this one is kind of a question mark. We don't need any accuracy because of Resolute Technique. And now we can get here. All of these are also still in the air, whether we take them or not. Going up here, we could, let's see. But what I like more is going up here to Devotion. That's a lot of strength and a lot of health. And it also makes it possible for us to take this 3-point jewel, which is actually worth it because it gives us int. And we're going to be int starved by a mile. Like, we're going to need a lot more int. So this helps a lot. Probably going to go this way. Yeah, this seems pretty good. So this is basically the first part done. Now we can just look at, do we need more life? Do we need more damage? And since we're only at 128% max life, we probably want more life. So I would say that you would want at least 160% life, but probably more, because we cannot evade enemy attacks. So we can't use something, for example, like Blind to really evade enemy attacks. We are axes, so we can't really, we don't have any block scaling. We're not here, so we don't have acro. So we will have to make that up with a ton of life and chaos, most likely. Chaos hard, which we'll do in the item section. So probably we want to fill out all the life we have right here. Let's just do that right now. And then let's think about more damage options. If we need the res, we can also take this. But I think this might be good for now. 173%. That's pretty solid. We can think about more after that. But something that I also really, really, really like are these notes here. These are good. The Fortify notes are huge. This gives you Fortify effect. So basically it's damage and effectiveness. So we haven't put a skill in yet. So let's do Cyclone. Probably should have done that earlier so we can see actually the damage numbers. Let's do Divergent. I don't know if we're going to be able to afford it, but let's see. Stages, we're going to be at like 7 stages. Oh, wait, actually, we're going to be level 20, right? Yeah, we're not going to be able to afford a 21 at this point. So we go here and we go Ramparts. These are really, really good. And now that we're here, we can also take Wrecking Ball, which is really nice for attack speed and 2-handed damage, and also Executioner for AoE, which is really cool. These nodes you would usually not take if you have cluster jewels, because you would probably invest into large and medium cluster jewels. But since we don't right now, we can do that. Instead, we could also think about these Fortified nodes, but they're in a really weird place. It's really kind of hard to path here. But yeah. Other than that, let's go into the item section for now. We have 109 points. We're not going to take any bandit. We're going to take the 2 points. So for now, we can still path up here. Oh, something I probably also want to do is take Tireless to reduce our mana cost of our Cyclone, which we probably want to get down to 0 somehow, most likely through rings. This still looks a little weird, but I think it's still worth it. You have to be stun immune with Cyclone, and it's a very budget way to do so. Now I'm just thinking about if I forgot something. Now at this point, we can put in the... So next up, we're going to go to node power so we can see if we forgot something. But before we do that, we put in the recommended support gems. So Awakened Brutality, let's say we can't afford Awakened gems, right? Let's do normal Brutality. Let's say 2020. Awakened Melee Fizz, let's do the normal Melee Fizz. Actually, let's say that for Melee Fizz, we can afford that because it's going to be like 2x or whatever, and we have 10 to 20x budget. And this actually gives us Intimidate, which we can now take here. We also do Cyrus, which isn't that big of a deal for bosses, for Fizz builds, sorry, because bosses don't really have much in the way of physical damage reduction. So we actually do more damage against bosses since we are a Slayer. So this actually increased our damage, which is kind of funny. But let's just check here real quick. Maybe we forgot something. We will have Onslaught because we have this node here. And we might even go for an Onslaught Flask. We'll see. We have Fortify, yes. So this is to activate these nodes here. Then we might be able to afford Tailwind Boots. Let's put it on for now, but let's think about it later. We won't go for Tailwind Elusive because those are really expensive, but I think we will be able to afford Tailwind Boots. And now, next up, have you killed recently? Sure, why not? Of enemies killed recently, 10, because if we're mapping, this gets us the AoE. Killed a rare or unique enemy recently, sure, why not? Let's take it for now. Stunned an enemy, this is just for the AoE. And I don't think anything else here implies. So, oh yeah, melee distance to enemy, 1. So this node here ticks. And yeah, so now we can go back here and put on show node power. So now it's basically just gonna show us in colors. Maybe we forgot something. Oh, we forgot these here, which might be very worth. Also, the impale nodes are good, but that's probably only because we didn't put in impale support. Once we put this in and we're going to go to the auras next, I don't think these nodes are going to be as good anymore because we will already be at 100% impale. Also, we're going to do close combat since we have axes. And last but not least, infused channeling is really, really nice. Now, once you put on infused channeling, go here and do, is infusion active? Yes, it is. Are you channeling Cyclone? Is just for movement speed. That doesn't really matter right now. So we're now at a pretty good, healthy 196%, which seems like a lot, but since we don't have any avoidance, like no dodge, no block, no blind, it is actually really, really good. And you kind of have to have it. So now we're at 118 points. That's level 95. That's pretty healthy. If I wanted to include more, I would probably cut something else. But for now, let's go to the aura section. Let's think about auras now. So what would we want? We can put like an Ancestral Protector here. I don't want to put too many of these totems here, as I already talked about in the last section. But let's just put Ancestral Protector here for now. Then what else could we do? We're probably going to run Pride, even if we don't have a Watcher's Eye. That's really, really good. Let's say we put in Maximum Effect here for now, although we might put that back depending on what we want. And then what we want is we want the Blood and Sand, and we want flesh. We don't really want Flesh and Stone, even though we can have Maim, just because if we're in Sand Stance, the blind part doesn't really do much. But let's say we're only in Blood Stance, right? So let's say we are always in Blood Stance, so we actually get the negative AoE, but that's still fine. So then we're going to do new Flesh and Stone. And we're going to put a maim support here because that means that enemies will be maimed from the Flesh and Stone, and they will take 16% increased physical damage. So that's pretty sick. All right, so we have this setup. We're already at over 1 million combined DPS, which is really, really nice. Now Blood and Sand and this. So we have no unreserved mana right now. We can just fix this by, let's say we delete this and put it in the same category. Let's say we put it here. and then let's say we can afford a level 3 Enlighten, right? A level 3 Enlighten should already be enough. It is, so now we have non-reserved mana, so we have to figure out how to get Cyclone to 0 mana cost. We will do that in a bit, but if we can't, we probably have to make a little bit more space for mana here. Now, when we press new, we can always see the biggest DPS increase on top. Berserk, we're not going to get, so that's very unrealistic. Phase Run, we're not going to get. Dread Banner, we are going to get, so we have to think about something now, because it seems like we might not be able to go Flesh and Stone. So probably what we have to do is cut Flesh and Stone and Maim, and instead, now we have 35% to play with. We go for something like a Herald of Purity instead, which only reserves 25%. I should get in the habit of putting these at 20. Only reserves 25, so now we actually have some mana left. The only reason we have that little amount of mana is because we, let's put level 95 here, right? Because that's what we're currently at. 180 points and that, yeah, okay. So we have Enlighten here. This is now a 5 link, which is pretty unrealistic. We're not going to have a 5 link. So let's just put one of them out of here. Let's say the Dread Banner, which reserves the least. This is going to be a 4 link, and then we have the Dread Banner somewhere else. It doesn't have to be Enlightened, because that's only reserving 10% mana. So we have a level 3 Enlightened that's like 1% less reservation. So yeah, I think that looks pretty good, and that's without items. So what are no-brainers here? I guess a Chaos Heart is a no-brainer. Fire damage roll doesn't matter, so just any Chaos Heart. We're not going to concern ourselves with, since we're on a budget, we're not going to talk about corruptions or anything. Now, what are we going to do for the flasks? Well, let's say that I usually don't like knockback. So here, what you can do is sort by name, and we're going to do sort by combined DPS. I usually don't like knockback from Lion's Roar with Cyclone, but since it's early in the league, we might just need the damage, honestly. So we put in Lion's Roar, activate it, and what else? Bottled Faith. We're not going to be able to afford a Bottled Faith. We can't use Aziri's Promise since we are brutality. We have some brutality support, but I think one unique flask is fine. We still need freeze immunity, bleed immunity, and curse immunity. So those are 3 suffixes we have to get. And on top of that, we're going to use 1 flask with off adrenaline. So that's exactly 4. So these are going to be really, really nice. And we're going to make those in a second. So I think the skill section we kind of have done. We can also put a Blood Rage in here. Why not? Let's put a Blood Rage in here for a little bit more attack speed. We might tick this off if it seems like we have enough damage already. Blood Rage is a little bit annoying with Wall Pact, but since we're Overleech, I don't think it's going to be too bad. So let's just put that on here. The reason I don't like golems is usually all they do is stand around you and make it so enemies chain onto you. So it's actually really, really bad defensively, unless you have the Pantheon that actually gives you chain immunity. But I don't want to think about stuff like that yet, so we're not going to take a golem. Now, let's finish our items up now. So let's think about this. Weapons, we're done. Helmet, well, I don't think we're going to do anything interesting here. But let's just say that we're going to run a Devotos and put that in here for now. It gives us a lot of dex and Chaos Res, which is kind of nice, but it doesn't have any life. Although I think that it would be pretty hard to get a good life one with a enchantment as well. Now, I think the Cyclone attack speed is actually really, really wanted on Devotos early in the league. So let's settle for increased damage, which is a lot worse, but usually not as expensive. So let's put that on here. Now, other than that, let's finish up the flasks, right? So we go craft items, we go flask. Do we have a life flask? I don't think we'll need a life flask since we're Overleech. So let's just go full utility. What we're definitely going to want is a Quicksilver flask of adrenaline. Now, I usually go chemists instead of alchemists on builds where I don't know how fast they're going to clear, and builds that have no like flask nodes at all. Chemist is really, really nice. We're not going to get the extra effect, but we're going to get more sustained acceleration. So we do chemists of adrenaline. Boom. Put that here. Let's actually put it on like 28, because a 30 is usually like an X or something, and we don't want to spend an X on 2 movement speed. Then we can do a chemist basalt flask. I actually have one here. So let's remove this, and let's say this chemist's basalt flask is like of antifreeze of heat. Yeah, there's here. So maybe we're gonna take a basalt flask here. It's gonna be that. Now, other than those, what else do I want? Well, basalt flask, chemist flask is easy. Let's scroll through the utility flask ourselves. A little bit of chaos res is gonna go a long way because we don't have a lot. So let's go for a amethyst flask actually. Create. Reduced charge is used is as always chemists, and we go of warding here. So now we're not only freeze and chill immune, we're also curse immune, and the trifecta will be bleed immune now. For that, let's say we take a quartz flask for now. Gives us some dodge. Pretty cute. Reduced charge used as always. And of staunching, right? Yeah, of staunching. So now this is finished. We can think about jewels next, or we can think about the big boys. I usually like to go for jewels first. So let's go for crimson jewels. And we don't need any crit multi, so it's actually not going to be that expensive, but we'll want to go with life here. And let's say we're not perfectly divining, obviously. So let's say 6. And then we put on, let's say 3 stat jewels, okay? So let's say attack speed with X's. All right, let's say this one is on full. And then probably more attack speed or increased damage. Let's just go with, I don't know, area damage here, even though attack speed's probably better. I don't know how much these are going to cost, but these should cost like 30 C or whatever each. So let's put this one here, and then let's put them in. Let's make sure that all of the jewels are actually worth it, and we haven't taken any 3-point jewels. I don't think we have. Yeah, all of those are worth it. Other than this one, this is a 3-point jewel, but as I said, we're going to need the end, and as you see, we do need the end. Now, something that we can do for the glove slot, which I'm actually thinking about, is we can cut these points here and go for an acuity. Acuity usually isn't that expensive. If you're from the past, acuities used to be worth a lot back when Ball Pact was good, but these give us a chunk of intelligence. So I'm thinking like an acuity here, then we can cut all of these and get the Ball Pact anyways. So we can cut all of this stuff here, which is really, really nice. And then we can think about how we can allocate these points again. As you can see, we can kind of gather some information here. We might go for these nodes for now, and probably going to go for these nodes also. So we're at 116, so maybe we go for something else here. We're probably going to go with this life node and this life node here. So now we're at over 200%, and we kind of cut ourselves some slack. Acuities are probably going to cost an X or something. So right now, what are we at? This is probably an X. This is like 50C. Maybe an X, not that much, like 30, 40C, these flasks together. So right now we're at like 5-ish X all together. So we might get the tailwind boots that we wanted. Let's do that actually right now. Let's say boots Titan Greaves. Now we don't know what's going to happen with Iceling, but usually it should be really easy to get an Iceling. We're not going to go for two-tone boots because I don't know how their availability is at this point. But we want a Hunter influence, and we're going to get Tailwind here, the normal Tailwind, obviously. We're just going to put that in, movement speed, and life. Now, when it comes to resistances, I usually don't want to put in resistances because it can skew your vision of how much resistance you actually have. It can be weird, like you put lightning rest there, cold rest there. One is going to be over, one is going to be under. You can look for the stuff you need later, so I don't want to put them in right now. And you just have to make a mental mark that you have enough rares and stuff to actually get resistances. Jewels are also notorious for giving you like a 4th stat with a random resist. So we should be able to figure that one out. So let's just do this here. What we can actually do to simulate it further, I think we're going to be fine on resistance just with rings and belt. But just to be safe, let's say this 4th stat is going to be resistance, or we can replace this with a resistance as well. But yeah, let's go for our rings, and they're going to be pretty straightforward. As I said, so we probably want some kind of res ring, right? So let's just go for a 2-stone ring. But as I already said, I don't really want to want to select all these resistances here. We're just going to leave the suffixes open for now. We just want to like simulate, let's say T2 life, and let's say a little bit of fizz damage. Let's say T2 fizz damage, and then a craft, and that craft is going to be channeling skills have -3 to total mana cost, which is going to be nice. That is going to bring down our cost, and we're actually going to get to 0, which is very, very cool. And let's just say this is our benchmark, and the rest we're going to fill out with resistances, so this is not going to be a problem. We just put in this ×2. We could go for steel rings, but we probably will need the resistances, so let's just leave it at this for now. Other than that, yeah, so for the amulet, what I'm thinking about is, wait, so why aren't we... Channeling skills have -3 to mana cost. Why are we still at 8 here? That's kind of weird. So this should be at 2 mana cost. I don't exactly know if this is bugged or something, but we have a channeling skill and it should be at like 2 mana now. So let's just say it's bugged or whatever. So if we go up here and we have lucidity, this will make it so channeling skills have -3 to total cost. And this is actually not that expensive of an anoint. So I want to anoint this on my amulet with a silver, a violet, and an amber. It doesn't need any golden oils, so it's also really nice. It also gives us 30% increased damage, which is really, really cool. So let's go with that. And we're going to need... we don't really need any int anymore, but we do need dex. So let's just say we need like some kind of dex stuff. Let's say we just go for a jade amulet here. Now we go for life, which is going to be the most important one. Let's say T2. We're going to go for physical damage. It's going to be fine. Like, let's say T2 again. And in the suffix slot, we're probably going to go for some more resistances, stuff like that. And now we can go for 2 things. We can also just go for another craft, right? So we can also just go for something like another -3. Then we don't have to anoint up there. So let's do this. So even though this is kind of bugged, we basically have the mana cost to 0 because we have 3 × 3 is 9. So this costs actually -1 mana. And now we can look for anoints that we could do instead, right? So we probably don't want to go with the most expensive anoint. This one only costs us violets, but it's not that good. We could go for a Hatchet Master, which is 6% more damage. That's really, really nice. Could go for some ore effectiveness there. This is also pretty cool. Yeah, seems like this one's going to be pretty good, right? So Hatchet Master is the name. So let's put this on our budget build. Hatchet Master, boom. It's allocated. We get the extra damage, and there we are. Lastly, Stygian Vices are probably going to be very expensive, so let's just go with a leather belt for now. We can also look into actually a Rislatha's coil. We have been pretty budget so far, so we at kind of like 8x right now, maybe 9, and we said 10 to 20x. So maybe we can actually afford a Rislatha's coil. I think we're going to be able to fix our resistances with these 3 here. That's a lot of res we can get there. So if we go for Rislatha's, let's just say we have a decent-ish roll. Rislatha's is really, really good for fizz builds. So let's just say something like this, like 13% more damage, some life, boom. Put this on here. And yeah, voila. Now we just have to look if we forgot something. We have 12% unreserved mana, which is going to be nice if you want to like leap slam. You can put a leap slam setup in here. So let's say leap slam with faster attacks. Let's see how much that will cost. Leap slam will cost 10 mana. So we have more than enough to jump around, which is going to be really, really nice. And we're at 118 points, as we said. We have 7.8k life, which is pretty cool. We can still get something out of there. If we went for more jewels and stuff, we could get even more life. But yeah, I mean, this would basically be what I come up with. This is obviously a very, very basic build, and I don't want you to think that this is not applicable to any other build. Most builds don't have that complex of any interactions, so you can do the same for just regular spell builds. It has pretty easy patterns to recognize, and the more of these builds you make, the easier it will be for you to recognize these patterns and find the best ways to path. Some builds don't want to go down here at all. They want to go straight here and then don't want to be in this region at all. And you will know. And you just go up here, for example, staff builds. If you go if you type in staves, good nodes are up here and here. So you want to go down and then up, and there's staff nodes here as well. So staff here, here. So it really depends on what you want to do. Something I forgot to mention that you can also do here is when you're not sure, like I already know these items. I do a lot of melee builds, so I know them by name and all, and I know what to include and what not to include. But what you can do here is you do any type and then do sort by combined DPS or full DPS, whatever you have here. In this case, we have combined DPS, so you go to combined DPS, and now it will list you everything that would do more damage than what you currently have. And let's see if there's anything that we might be interested in. Seemed like we did a great job. There's not really anything here you obviously have to hover over and see maybe there's better options. But in this case, on my first glance, I can already see there's nothing for us here. But that's a really nice thing to do at the end to round out your build, just in case you forgot something random. So that's the end of the tutorial. I hope you could learn something here, maybe take something away from it. I really wanted to kind of demystify this whole program because it seems very complex, but the more you do it, the more you'll see that it's actually pretty cookie cutter, and it can help you a lot in getting better at the game. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, subscribe. And yeah, since I still don't have a slogan, see you next time.